Michael Douglas is not having a very good day, and he's taking his frustration out on street gangs, fast food restaurants, angry golfers, and just about anyone else who gets in his way. Released in 1993 and directed by Joel Schumacher, in Falling Down, Douglas plays William Foster, a man on the edge who is about to succumb and snap into the insanity of a lethal mental breakdown. As while stuck in an LA traffic jam on a hot, sweaty day, out of frustration he decides to leave his car and walk across the hot city on foot so he can make it to his daughter's birthday. But along the way, after several encounters, Foster succumbs more and more to a violent rage. What starts out as self-defense sees Foster descend into anger, frustration, and destruction. We learn that Foster's ex-wife is terrified of him, and that he's always been short-tempered, and that for a while, his volatile ways have been increasing. The only person who can stop Foster is Sergeant Martin Prendergast, played by Robert Duvall, an older retiring police officer who gets bullied and pushed around by his peers, who in order to stop Foster must take a stand and defend himself against those who belittle him and his controlling wife. In this movie that explores the dangerous effects of being pushed around and downtrodden by society, in which both the Foster and Prendergast characters lose their shielded inhibitions of being social outcasts, as that inhibition crumbles and falls down just like London Bridge.
It's out of order.
So today we are going to join Michael Douglas for his not so peaceful stroll across Los Angeles as we look into 10 things that you may not know about Falling Down, the Joel Schumacher movie with the strongest social commentary. So, let's check it out.
And you, ma'am? How's the food? I think we have a critic.
Number 10. Story behind that haircut. In Falling Down, we see Michael Douglas don an almost 1950s military-styled haircut. This look was surprisingly suggested by Joel Schumacher's hairdresser. However, Douglas didn't need any convincing, as he loved the look, as he felt it made the Foster character look out of time.
And you know, the haircut came in and all of a sudden the whole kind of character came together.
No kidding. Mm-hmm.
I had a sense of somebody with this military background, maybe been in the service at one time, somebody who worked in the defense industry.
Like he is from another era, like the 1950s or early 60s. A time with a great promise of the future, in which those dreams never came true. A man who went wrong in life despite working hard and couldn't quite figure out exactly how he went so wrong, so to speak.
Don't forget me.
And to be honest, with that hair and thick glasses and style of white shirt, I always felt that Foster did look like he came from the 50s. He doesn't blend in with the early 90s surroundings, and looks like a character from a 1950s sitcom.
You kind of had the feeling that he came from another time, or he wished or he hoped for another time when things made sense.
So could Falling Down subliminally be a movie about a time traveller from the past who arrives into the 90s and hates it so much he cracks? Number 9. Rioting got in the way of filming. Falling Down was filmed in LA in April 1992 during the LA riots. In fact, the rioting that took place got so intense it was considered too dangerous for the production crew, so filming had to temporarily stop, with the filming then taking place at Warner Brothers Studios instead. The irony is, Falling Down is a movie about volatile tension, which was being filmed in a city which was in fact going through volatile tension. In fact, the riots were so full on, they even delayed the movie and the movie's production and development, as 1 week after leaving the city, the crew tried to return to Pasadena to continue with some more filming, but they were denied permission to do so, which caused the movie's filming to finally conclude in June 1992. So I guess you've got to give the movie's production credit for managing to film a movie in a city that's rioting without actually capturing any of the mayhem on screen. Well, except from the Michael Douglas acting mayhem, of course. Number 8. Cameo by a celebrity sibling. One of my favourite scenes in Falling Down is where Foster enters a McDonald's-styled fast food restaurant and completely loses it because they no longer serve breakfast, and then further gets angry because his food doesn't resemble how it is advertised in the pictures. Something that I guess a lot of people can often relate to and get frustrated by.
Have you ever heard the expression, the customer is always right?
The scene is both disturbing and funny, in that he threatens the restaurant with weaponry for something so trivial. However, there is something rather unique about the actress who plays Sheila, the smirking, smug-looking restaurant worker, as she was played by Dee Dee Pfeiffer, who is in fact the sister of famed Hollywood actress Michelle Pfeiffer. And yeah, you can kind of see a family resemblance. And to give her credit, it couldn't have been easy for her to be looking so sure of herself while wearing a cheeseburger hat. So kudos to her for pulling that off. Number 7. The man behind the music. Falling Down was composed by critically acclaimed composer James Newton Howard, providing a theme that gives tension and unease, with appropriate shock and melodrama. In other words, the perfect score to go with a movie of this nature. Howard has been composing movies since 1985 and had previously worked with Schumacher on his haunting supernatural thriller Flatliners. Howard had also previously worked on Pretty Woman and My Girl. However, after Falling Down, he would go on to score other memorable 90s movies, such as The Fugitive, Outbreak, Waterworld, Space Jam, Liar Liar, and The Sixth Sense. However, throughout the 2000s onwards is where he really made it big, scoring for movies such as the Dark Knight trilogy and the Hunger Games film series. Yep, James Newton Howard has had a long, expansive career, with an interesting variety lineup of movies that he has conducted. Number 6. Falling Down is Michael Douglas's personal favourite movie. Michael Douglas is an accomplished film actor whom has been starring in and producing movies since the 60s, and you may think that one of his more well-known performances, like that of Gordon Gekko in Wall Street, or his performance in Fatal Attraction, might be up there among some of his own personal favourite movies that he has starred in, when in fact Falling Down is his favourite film that he has ever worked on. And when you read Douglas in interviews he gave concerning the movie at the time, you can tell that Falling Down really resonated with him, and that he gave it his all. Even Douglas's father, the equally acclaimed Kirk Douglas, also supposedly agrees that Falling Down displays his son's best work. So when it comes to celebrating the works of Michael Douglas, maybe we need to take Wall Street off its high pedestal and give Falling Down some love. Maybe when it comes to his performances in movies, we should for once give less attention to his greed is good speech.
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
And more to that scene where he fires a grenade at an LA construction site, simply because he didn't want the workers to be there.
Okay. Look out! Nothing happened.
In fact, Falling Down is pretty intense and badass. I mean, why hasn't it become as much of a remembered classic as it should have done? Number 5. The movie offers creative inspiration. I've mentioned a few times throughout this episode that Falling Down has become something of a forgotten gem, but that said, the movie still seems to have inspired many people, particularly mainstream bands. Case in point, the Iron Maiden song Man on the Edge from their 1995 album The X Factor. The lyrics from the song pretty much word for word describe the events from the movie, from being stuck in a traffic jam, to Foster's briefcase which only contains his lunch, to his retaliation to a hostile society. Heck, the song's chorus is the words "falling down" repeated over and over again. Falling down, falling down, falling down. Then there's the Foo Fighters 2011 song Walk. which also took inspiration from Falling Down, particularly the song's music video, which features Dave Grohl dressed up as the Foster character and recreates imagery from the movie, once again focusing on the traffic jam and the lone walk in the hot-temperatured city and the hostility and violence that is met along the way. The Falling Down homage in this music video is almost to the T. Number 4. Casting possibilities. The character William Foster was originally written as a man in his late 30s. However, while filming Falling Down, Michael Douglas was in fact 48. But regardless, he was the perfect man for the job, creating a character who is totally unbalanced and threatening, along with unpredictability, while also being strangely sympathetic. However, other actors who were considered for the role of Foster, but either turned the part down or were unavailable, include Dustin Hoffman, Harrison Ford, Robert De Niro, Robin Williams, Jack Nicholson, Jeff Bridges, and Mel Gibson. All those actors are very talented, but I'm glad Douglas got the part, as he went all out and gave the character depth and heart with a spectacular performance. As for the role of Lester Prendergast, he was played by Robert Duvall, and several actors that were considered for that part included Gene Hackman, Paul Newman, and Walter Matthau. Duvall did a great job of the downtrodden older cop, who has to stand up to the younger bullies who mock and ridicule him. If anything, while the Foster character's story is a tragedy, the Prendergast character's story arc is actually a triumph, creating an interesting contrast between the two main characters.
Yeah, now you're gonna die wearing that stupid little hat.
Number 3. The movie had a South Korean boycott. The movie caused a stir with Korean viewers on the account of a scene where the Foster character visits a grocery store and has a violent altercation with the owner, who was a South Korean character, who was incidentally played by Michael Paul Chan, who played Data's father in The Goonies and would go on to star in other Schumacher projects, including Batman Forever and Batman and Robin. Due to the treatment of the grocery store character at the hands of the Foster character, many people pledged to boycott the movie in South Korea, so the movie's release in South Korea was indeed cancelled. I totally and wholeheartedly understand the upsetting reaction that this scene caused. However, I think the scene was meant to be horrible and grotesque. I don't think for 1 second the movie was suggesting that this is how people should behave. It was saying, oh my god, look at this behaviour, isn't it terrible? Number 2. Directing possibilities. Joel Schumacher gets a pretty tough time in the social media sphere, mainly for his 2 directional Batman movies. Well, particularly his golden opus of awful itself, Batman and Robin. Oh, the bat nipples, fear the bat credit card, and gasp at the ice puns. However, he is still a very accomplished director, whom has a long list of popular and successful films that he has directed, including The Lost Boys, St. Elmo's Fire, 8mm, A Time to Kill, and Phone Booth. So he has some great movies under his belt. It's just, I guess, the awfulness of Batman and Robin is just too overpowering. However, he does a great job for Falling Down. His directing is fast and snappy, which gets your adrenaline pumping as we join Foster in his descent into madness. He also perfectly captures the dirty, sweaty grit of a hot summer's day in Los Angeles. So in other words, Falling Down is a great directional effort by Schumacher. However, before Schumacher got on board, Dennis Hopper was considered for directing Falling Down. Although Hopper is most well known as an actor, he still has had some directing experience, namely directing Easy Rider. But for whatever reason, he didn't get the job, to which Schumacher took on the realms of filming Falling Down. Number 1. Falling Down was nearly a made-for-cable movie. The script for Falling Down was written by Ebby Rose Smith, who, to the best of my knowledge, hasn't got any other writing credits. Well, when he was trying to get his script for Falling Down out there for someone to pick up, originally no studio wanted a bar of it, despite the involvement of Joel Schumacher, probably due to some of its confronting subject matter. In fact, the script got turned down so much, Smith was ready to abandon the idea of Falling Down to be a Hollywood movie and instead pitched the script to cable channels in favour of making it a made-for-TV cable movie. However, it was when Michael Douglas got wind of the script that the ball finally got rolling.
Pardon me, but that's bullshit.
Douglas loved the script and the rest was history. Douglas was originally going to take time out from acting at the time, having made Fatal Attraction and Shining Through back to back, which had left him exhausted and wanting to spend more time with his family. But Falling Down was enough for him to change his mind and to get in front of the camera for what is arguably the greatest performance of his life. So there you have it. If it wasn't for Michael Douglas, we probably wouldn't have Falling Down, or at least Falling Down as we know it. I highly recommend it. It's a very powerful movie that confronts us with some troubling issues and leaves us thinking about it long after the credits roll. So I say definitely check it out. Anyway, I'm Minty, and if you ever see Michael Douglas strolling across a golf field, don't mock or ridicule him or start hitting golf balls at him, or you will end up dead. That's a recipe for instant no-no soup right there. See ya. Okay guys, just to conclude, this week's poll that I conducted on the Minty Comedic Arts social media pages was, are movie fans on social media too hard on Joel Schumacher? With the poll, I wanted people to keep in mind that he has done other movies other than his 2 Batman ones. And wow, the results seem pretty conclusive. 47 people said yes, 8 said yes and no, and by yes and no, I mean there were comments saying he's done good movies, but Batman and Robin in particular was just too terrible, and only 6 people said no, they aren't too hard on him. Thanks for joining in guys. If you want to join in the polls in the future, then just join in the Minty Comedic Arts social media pages on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Bye for now.